evening to ya. It's your girl, Kiki. How does it find you? I hope it finds you well. All things relationships, all things you, all things getting to understand yourself. And I've had a question. People are invited to submit questions to me that they would like answered. Hi, Key. I've started a new relationship I started a new relationship in 2025 since my divorce in 2014. He has been divorced since 2022 from a one-sided marriage. As he said, he loved her endlessly, but she was not in love with him. I have known him since December 2022, but our intimate relationship started January 2025. Our relationship started off beautifully, warm, loving, and attentive. Everything a woman could want in a man. Does that speak to anybody that you met somebody who was everything that you ever wanted in a person? Beautiful when you feel like you've met that person. Give me a heart, give me a like if you know what it's like. You thought you met the one. Isn't it a beautiful thing? Isn't it beautiful to risk again? Anyhow, so this person here is saying they thought they met the one. Everything started off beautifully. Isn't it beautiful when it starts off beautifully? However, now, so that's 3 years later, they feel that he is holding back. He is still the same on the surface, but I can feel that he has started to hold back. Anybody resonate with that? When things have been going lovely jubbly, you're going from milestone to milestone, you're beginning to surrender, you're getting all supple, you want to give and sacrifice, and then you notice the individual starting to hold back. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah? So, hey, the lady's saying behavior's the same, but she's starting to notice there's a little bit of holding back. Some of his comments do not relate to me, and I feel he is using unconscious bias on me without even realizing it. And this I feel will destroy our relationship. So not quite a question there. However, I think if I was to turn it into a question, it would be, what do we do when we notice somebody holding back? What do we notice if we feel like a relationship has been progressing nicely, you've become supple, you want to be with that individual, and then you notice that someone's holding back? You might start to feel like there's some subtle changes. Sant, hi from a friendly neighborhood Indian. Greetings. If you've got any questions, feel free, submit. Then I think we have to pay attention to ourselves, the reaction. What happens to you when you notice somebody holding back? Do you tend to go mute, not say anything? Do you wish, fingers crossed, and hope for the best? So what we need to begin to do is to focus on the reaction within us should we feel someone that we've grown fond of, someone that we care for is starting to hold back. Pay attention. Do you have healthy coping strategies or unhealthy ones? So one of the things I think is really important to notice is what starts to kick in for you. As I always say to myself, Mrs. Taverner, is that the person you want to be in a relationship? Do I want to be inarticulate when I notice somebody holding back? You know what it's like? They say one thing and yet they do another. What do I observe in myself when this behavior occurs? What I think is also really important to understand is how deeply attached you are, because the more that you are fond of somebody, this can have a massive impact on the poor. Am I lying? The more you are into that person, the more the attachment's grown. Now, if you combine that with great best sex of your life, then we know that that physical attachment can also be a really important factor to consider, which does make it tricky when you begin to notice that someone just isn't quite there for you, showing up, available to you in the ways that they used to be. Let me know what you would do in these situations, because these are real situations. And this is how we can end up staying in situations that aren't great for our greatness. What I think is often of the utmost importance is that I pay attention to myself and whether my unhealthy ways of coping kick in. Do I weigh it out? Do I turn on myself? Do I think it's me? Or do I endeavor to have the conversation with the individual? Babes, I have noticed that. Follow up with an example. Now, sometimes, as we share our truths, remember, we are always living in the hope that someone else will share their truths with us. And we have to be prepared for somebody's response. And sometimes we may not like it. I know I have endeavored to have many an open and transparent conversation with an individual. And when their truths has come back at me, I have not necessarily been a fan of it. But we must respect people's truths. So, for example, depends on what they do. If you feel stonewalled, that they're not acknowledging you, or, as I've been told many a time, I don't know what you're talking about. If somebody says they don't know what you're talking about, therefore, and they display no curiosity to what you're beginning to observe in the relationship, then we must pay good attention. This is important information for us to ingest. I mean, they may not understand, but like I said, if there's not a sense of curiosity about what might be happening, this is not helpful. And so these are all bits of information that we need to start to take in to understand our situation a little bit better. And if this continues, for example, you're noticing this detachment, but paying good attention to what happens with yourself, then I'm of the viewpoint, again, bring up the conversation, and then we have to pay attention to what we observe and what we notice. Is there curiosity? Does an individual have a desire to know more, want to try to understand your perspective? Or are they just suggesting that, you need to sort yourself out? I don't know what you're talking about. Pull yourself together. What we're hoping for is communication, not to be stonewalled. We're hoping for curiosity from the love interest. And one of the most difficult questions I find is, if I believe I am worthy of love, and if I'm seeking transparency and open communication, and that is not what I receive, then Houston, we do have a challenge. And as ever, it's best not to lie to yourself. It doesn't mean the relationship has to come to a neck break, hard break end. It means we have hit an obstacle. And it's prudent that when you hit an obstacle in a relationship, you don't lie to yourself. Come on. Some of us be lying to ourselves. Some of us don't want to admit the situation as it is. We do a bit of creative thinking. And as I say to many a person, we need to listen, some of us need to be authors because our creative writing skills are very up. We have a very vivid imagination, and we cannot live in the imagination, if you know what I'm talking about. Give me a heart, give me a like. I think this is one of the biggest challenges when we are seeking love and intimate relationships, is the fantasy in our mind's eye of how it should be. And when our reality does not marry up with the fantasy in our mind's eye, we do have a problem. And many a soul has spent many years holding on for the fantasy in their mind's eye. If you've done it, give me a heart, give me a like, because you're not alone out there. We must understand that fantasy is a beautiful place. It's our imagination. The ambition is always to stay grounded in your reality. Because if not, and you have had a history of being in unhealthy relationship, then the likelihood is you could be at the beginning of repeating a very familiar pattern. And if you can, for many of our default, we can just slip into that without even thinking. It is what we do. This is one of the reasons why self-awareness is your only ammo. We must become self-aware, aware of the stories and the fantasies in our mind's eye. When you are not conscious of the stories and the fantasies in your mind's eye, those fantasies, the la la land fantasies, govern your life. And this is one of the reasons why we can get very upset and disheartened in our intimate relationships. Not great for your greatness. Let me know what questions, what curiosities you have around this topic. Staying grounded is of essential. So this is a question that's come in from my community, asking about fundamentally, what do you do when you start to notice you've bonded with someone, you've grown in attachment, and then you start to notice that they're pulling back? What do you do? What do you do when you begin to notice a shift? You must pay attention, but most importantly, it's so fundamental to pay attention to yourself. Paying attention to you and what goes on within you. Many of us become somewhat, obsessed with them. We become obsessed with their behavior. And if that's sending you into a place where you're not comfortable with, we have to become conscious. Ladies, we must ask ourselves, is this the person I want to be in relationship? If I want to be love, light, and in my feminine energy, and what I'm getting here is the part of me that can become a pain or nagging or forever asking questions, then sometimes you might be dating someone who's aloof. And it's very difficult to get a grasp of them. In the beginning, everything's fine, but remember, people will always go back to their default stance. So if you find that you're becoming a person, your behavior is not in keeping with what you want to be, you have to be very real with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. This is not who I want to be. I had to have that conversation with myself a number of years ago. But I found myself behaving in ways which was clingy. And I'm noticing this individual's bringing out this clinginess in me. This is getting activated within me, the part of me that can be clingy. And is being clingy in an intimate relationship, is this how I want to be? Is this how I want to operate? No. Therefore, I'm now curious about what is going on in the dynamic between me and the individual. Does this make sense? Give me a heart, give me a light, if this makes sense. So now you become much more curious about what gets evoked in you, shifting your focus from them to yourself. Make sense? We want to shift the focus to beginning to become curious about the activation within the self. And asking self-inquiring questions rather than questions and conundrums about the individual. Rushni, not at all. It is, it's actually a part of human dynamics. It's a real natural part of human dynamics. Getting curious about what gets evoked within you. And I don't think that's unhealthy. I think that's absolutely healthy and essential to become curious about how you become activated with people. What part of you, and is that the part of me? Is that who I want to be? Is this, as they often say, my best self? And if it's not your best self, because listen, there is a lunatic within all of us. There's a lunatic within all of us should the right conditions present themselves. I'm not lying. I don't know if this doesn't make sense to people, and that's fine if it don't make sense to you, but it makes sense to me. There's a lunatic within all of us. And all I'm saying is, I got a flash goal, give thanks, thank you, right? Is that we want to pay attention to this so that the lunatic in me doesn't manifest itself. And I can keep myself calm. We don't want people taken out of our peace and our calmness. Absolutely, right? So now I'm not blaming you. All I'm saying is as I take ownership for myself, I'm like, this isn't the person I want to be in a relationship. This person is activating the part of me that might be clingy. And that's not the self I want to be, because I did that in 1985, was not great for my greatness. You end up chasing people. They end up becoming aloof. Thank you so much for all the gifts, right? They pull away and you chasing. That's not the person you want to be in relationships, Miss Taverner. Holy bricks. This is not Big Dick Derek's fault. Nothing to do with him. This is about my own attachment styles. And if I endeavor to not function from that place, then it is my responsibility to become conscious about the activation of the clinginess within me. And when I notice it, then I have to have a word with myself. Miss Taverner, if we don't want to function from that place, then be mindful. You've had a word. You've tried to be curious. You've been stonewalled. They don't know what you're talking about. And now you're becoming a nag, and now you're becoming a bore. I do not want to become a nag nor a bore. I am not your mother. If that's not the person I want to be in a relationship, then I have to be conscious of that. And unfortunately, me, the ego, may well want to be in that relationship. However, if I have a relationship with my higher self, if I understand that I choose and I create my path, then I understand that if I choose to come from my ego and I go down this path and this relationship is harmful, then I can't blame anybody. I did it to myself. And that is the challenge and the gift of self-responsibility. And self-responsibility is not for everybody. It takes courage, bravery to live a life where you take responsibility. And sometimes it feels unfair because it's lovely having someone to blame. But if I have someone to blame, then I am not a driving force in my life. And maybe it's my own ego. I don't like that notion. So decide I must. Because even if you decide not to decide, you are still making a decision. If that makes sense to you, give me a heart, give me a light. Let me know what questions you might have about love, relationships, but also this concept that's forever in the therapy room. Key, I want to live my best life. What does it look like for you to live your best life? And in fact, if you want to live your best life, then it might be fair to assume some of us are living our worst lives. I'm living my worst life. And if you're living your worst life, if you're not living your best life, this is why I tell people, be careful thinking in polarities. Good, bad, best, worst. Life doesn't work like that. There's processes that we have to go through. We trust the journey. I walk by faith, not by sight. Let me know what questions. Sarah, I see you, girl. I see you. Thank you for the heart. Oh, thank you for the roses. Thank you for the roses. So the ambition here is always promoting self-responsibility. And that is not for everybody. For many people on the journey, what happens is, as we develop our awareness, we may want others to live from the same paradigm as us. Many empathic people, we have to understand common decency is not common. We often assume it should be common. And this is one of the things that trips us up. Empathy is a gift. And with any gift comes responsibility. And while God may have blessed you with empathy, somebody else will be blessed with a whole raft of other skills. It is prudent and essential that you understand your gift. We are not too emotional. We are emotionally sensitive human beings. That's just how we're wired. That's just how the Father made us. However, the issue is our emotional sensitivities, which is our greatest gift, it's how we are wired, is just the way that we are. And sometimes our way of being is inconvenient for people. And so what they do by creating the notion that we are too sensitive, too emotional, they make us feel inadequate for our very essence and our very nature. The empathic people own your individuality, own your sensitivity. It's just who you are. When we don't own it, we have to become a different persona. When we become a different persona, we end up wearing masks. We become a false self, the inauthentic self. And this is where the roots of common mental health problems lay, in authenticity. You become a false self. And wearing a mask is exhausting. Hello there, my friend. We cannot be true to ourselves. And the more we live a false life, an inauthentic life, naturally the soul will become sad. And no matter what you buy, what you try, no matter what Gucci slider you put upon your foot, what car you have, the soul is not for sale. Because the self has become inauthentic. And I believe, maybe this is a big one, but hey ho, why not go for it? The soul's purpose is to manifest its authentic self. I think that is one of the challenges of being here on God's great earth, is to reveal one's authentic self. Sister, Jesus is the savior of our soul. It's not by works. I would hope that you agree that Jesus did give man free will, right? God gave free will. And so, to some degree, he gives the power for people to choose. You can believe in God or not. Such is the gift of the Creator. You may choose to disagree. Yeah, free will is a really important part. Free will, the power to decide. Really wonderful book, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Really, really important book about, being in very difficult circumstances and having to make a decision about how you choose to operate in that. And when you live from that place of making empowered choices in disempowering situations. So for this lady, this may not be where she wants to be. She's grown attached. She wants to be with the individual, grow a life. However, there's inconvenient truths that are coming her way. We must endeavor to communicate our concern and give the other individual, the other person, the opportunity to convey their truth back. And that is the essence, I believe, of a healthy relationship, is endeavoring to communicate. If another person, based on where they're at, does not want to communicate with you, or comes to the conclusion that you're the problem, that you might look at things too deeply, or you're too emotional, you're too sensitive, and they never know what you're talking about, that is their truth. We don't have to like it, accept it, you must. If you don't accept it, you will go on a battle, a very tough battle. The battle of trying to convince someone of a different opinion. And most people's opinions don't change. It's not easy to change people's opinions. This is another one that causes people a lot of problems. Trying to change people's minds. Ambition isn't to change people. The ambition is to endeavor to accept people where they're at. And this is one of the challenges that can catch people out on their journey, which is when I want you to be what I want you to be for me. I want you to be what I need you to be. No. The issue is not them. Many of the challenges I see in relationship is based on an unrealistic expectation of someone being what you want them to be. And you see, for many of us, men are so tricky. It's better single. Well, that's your opinion. I still believe in love. I still believe in the power of human connection. I think it's the most profound thing. But I do think in the modern era, we are becoming less tolerant and much more unwilling to put up with foolishness that we may have been yesteryear. So I do understand, where your sentiments come from. I'm detached, I think. And that makes sense depending on what you've been through. Fatty to Finny, it makes sense that you may want to be totally like, I'm out, but sometimes situations happen in life and you just might wish that you had a companion along your side, and nothing wrong with that. And modern day dating is not necessarily easy. We live in a disposable culture, disposable e-cigarettes, disposable straws, disposable cups, disposable people. They swiping off, So, and that can be very difficult, being ghosted, being blocked, someone not giving explanation. These can be all really, being rejected is not nice. However, sometimes it's good for the human soul. Hi. Does God not want us to be patient with people who stretch out patience and try to understand them? Paul Lennon, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to go into about what God desires for us. I keep it very minimal. It's not my area of expertise. I think, does God want us to be patient? Potentially. But I also think we have to be really mindful about whether you do yourself a great injustice in doing so. You see, you have to be very mindful. A lot of empathic people put other people first and themselves last, often being conditioned that it's a noble, wonderful thing to put everybody first, and are of the view that it's a noble thing to put themselves last, and often they just end up being doormats. Yeah, I hear you. And you know what, Fatty, when I hear people say I can't trust anyone anymore, I'm really of the view that I don't trust myself. What we say is I can't trust people anymore. So we put it outside of ourselves, right? I can't trust people. I've been hurt too much. And what I've realized is if I function from the paradigm that with all the past hurts, I can't trust anymore, then those people from the past are now impeding my current life and the future life that I may have. And I don't really want to give that persons that much power. So I have the capacity to make different choices, to risk again, to try again, to love again, to be vulnerable again. I think it's humanizing. And as a human being, I want to experience the breadth of my humanity and not close myself down. But I also fully respect why people do not love again, try again, trust again. I do respect that. And there is a part of me that thinks that is a tragedy. And I don't want what happened in 1985 to be holding me back in 2025. It does not mean that I will love with the same frivolousness as a young adult. We have wounds, we carry our baggage, hopefully with a little bit of sophistication and class. Yet, to love again, to risk again, to try again, is testament to the healing nature of the soul. That's my bias. But what do I know? Probably need one too many books. So like I say, the view is that when I often hear people say I can't trust anyone, I believe my view is to kind of flip that back, is I don't trust myself. And actually what I've realized when I've loved again, tried again, risked again, I can trust myself. The challenge is sometimes I don't like the decisions I have to make to trust myself. If that means surrendering and letting go of situations that are not serving me. The challenge is we're all trying to circumnavigate being hurt. But to love is to risk, you see. You can't love without risk. There are no guarantees. And maybe by keeping ourselves single and keeping ourselves what we believe is safe, you know, we create our little comfort zone. But all that love and desire, it doesn't mean it's gone. It's still within you. I believe it still may want to express itself. And maybe it does. This is why people love the cat, the dog, the houseplant. But they never love a human again. What does it say? Glad I was able to open my heart again. Didn't work out, but got a son. Belle Sealy, how beautiful again. Amen. 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 And it may not have worked out, but it may have worked for that purpose, you know? And naturally, we may want things to last forever. We've all been conditioned, you know, in that way. You know, we may, you know, many of us didn't want to be single parents and it's worked out that way. And life is life. We're not the, as I said to myself, you're not the first, Miss Taverner, you ain't gonna be the last. Yes, have to agree with you. Like you say, being brave enough to try and trust. It absolutely, like that is a massive victory. Yes, to step tentatively and paying attention. And this is why I'll always be advocating the value and importance of self-awareness, being more discerning, stop ignoring the red flags. Absolutely. But most importantly, I think one of the red flags, you know, as I say here and I say often in the groups, it's not actually about, I want to understand my red flags. And my encouragement is that you learn to as empathic people, you learn your red flags. If I'm going above and beyond, if I'm making excuses for poor behavior, if I'm coming up with justifications for poor behavior, if I'm not speaking my truth, if I'm holding out and hoping that someone will see my value or my worth, these are my red flag behaviors. This haven't got nothing to do with anybody else. This is where I'm harming myself. And if you are on your healing journey and you want to understand how far you've come along on this road, then one of the things that I would say to you is get into a relationship. A relationship gives you immediate access to yourself and your growth. That's how you'll see how far you've come. I remember saying to my therapist one day, boy, this is not the relationship I want to finish. It's a victory for the soul. But the ego is not happy. The ego wants to hold on, hold out. The ego wants to live in hope. And living in hopeless hope is one of the ways we harm ourselves. And it's one of the ways we end up staying in relationships that no longer serve us. And if you keep going from abusive one-way relationship, give your all, get back nothing in return, and you find yourself continuously drawn to narcissistic individuals, there's a good solid reason for it. And find out that you must please go to my profile, where you can take my latest quiz. If you are stuck researching narcissism, are you stuck researching them, stuck trying to understand them, why they behave the way they do? And if you do, then you may be looking at this dilemma from the wrong angle. That's all I do. I just propose that we might be looking at this from the wrong angle, and that there is an alternative way to look at the situation, which is the challenge is with us. I'm 3 years post leaving NARC, just finding myself in dating and being able to trust again. How beautiful. Congratulations to you, my dear friend. You know, that's wonderful. Do you know how much people are like, I will never love again. Never love again. How much power do we give that individual when we decide that we will never love, never be vulnerable again? That is testament to your victory, testament to your journey, testament to you letting go again, testament to having faith, because there are no guarantees in life. There are no. And to love again is to risk again. And you cannot live life without risk. You know, this is where what we do, never leave our homes. We'd never leave our homes. You know, a ship is safe in the harbor, but it wasn't built for the harbor. We must learn. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. So it's your girl, Keeley Taverner. I'm here. I'm always fascinated by human potential, who you are, where you're at, but fundamentally where you want to be. You see, one of the biggest challenges we have is our capacity to self-sabotage. And understanding the minute, crafty, creative ways you sabotage yourself is so essential. I never cease to amaze myself. And the more I can understand myself, the more I believe I can be a companion to another individual who is going through their own journey of change and manifestation. You see, the true challenge is, while we're busy worrying about them, other people are living their best life, or apparently living their best life. While you put other people as a priority, you see, many of us empathic people, we are constantly looking outside of ourselves and wanting validation. And as we grow and we shift and we truly understand the problematicness of coming from the perspective where we want other people to thumbs up us, to give us permission. My hope is that you come to the realization of how you have limited your life and your potential. There is so much more that you could be, do, and have. Some of us have hoped our intimate relationships would save us. We have hoped that the person we have been most vulnerable with, the person that we have trusted, they would be the vehicle for the manifestation of our dreams of a wonderful life. We have been often conditioned that in our loving relationship, we will find true fulfillment. And when that has not happened, we have become sad and disheartened. But my question to you is, have you given away responsibility? Is it not a high expectation to expect someone to love all of us? Some of us don't even like ourselves, let alone love ourselves. These are important ponderations for us to consider. And if you're stuck with researching narcissists, thinking about them, if you feel like they have taken over your mind, then I get it. It's a very difficult place to be. And the journey is not for the swift, and not everybody recovers. Some people will still be talking about what happened in 1985, 40 years later. The challenge is, do you want to be that person? Or like Sarah, do you want to glean the lessons from the adverse relationship in order to check yourself, in order to understand and endeavor to take responsibility? Now, in promoting self-responsibility, it's not saying we've not been victims. But some of us know there's things we've done where we could have let it go, but we've gone back, be it loneliness, familiarity, scared of being alone. And we may have done ourselves an injustice. Am I lying? Because I know I've done it in the past. I was scared of being with myself. I didn't even like myself. I was grateful that they liked me. Desperate. Desperation is a massive factor. And this is why we can easily understand, do the research, Google this term, but we must really understand that when we start going down rabbit holes, trying to understand and pick apart someone's behavior, do you want to be a psychologist? Like, you know, is that what you want for yourself? Because trust me, if you put half of the energy into understanding other people, if you put that into discovering your own talents and unleashing your own creativity, you know, I have no idea what you could manifest or who you could be. Many of us spend a lot of time. Remember, everything is energy. Speaking to a client today, we were talking about anxiety. He's like, Key, I just feel so anxious. I understand, brother. And remember, when that is happening in the brain, it limits us. because the brain is doing what it needs to do because something has triggered you. Creativity is the space for manifestation. What do you want for your life? Who could you be? We've been told myths about relationships completing and fulfilling us. And so for many of us, when we've got into them, we've kind of just taken off. We're like, oh, we're here now. And we've sought fulfillment from that beautiful thing. But my encouragement is never give up on yourself. Actually, it's at those times that you need to actually, as you get up in age and more mature, keep other aspects of your identity alive. Don't lose yourself. Many of us put all the eggs in one basket. And then when we see shabby behavior or things start to change, we have an identity crisis because we don't know who we are anymore. Because the only self we know is the self that we committed to this relationship, to that entity. This is why you never give up on your dreams. And if you're in a relationship where someone's encouraging you to, oh, why'd you bother with that? And you just, it's just all about you and them, you and them, you and men, then the danger is enmeshment. Enmeshment is not great for the human spirit. Everybody's got their journey. Everybody's got their own potential within, their own path. Many of you lose sight of your own path because such is the need for you to be in relationship. And when you lose that person, you lose your mind, you lose yourself. How dare they treat me like this? How dare they? But all the time, you gave away your power. You sacrificed yourself. And if you're in toxic relationships, we also have to be extra mindful. Some of us are on the hush money packages. Some of us are getting good treatment. And the good treatment is a trade. I treat you well, and I will treat you unwell. Therefore, have the Gucci slider, the fancy meals, and the fancy holidays. But when you get the ill treatment, they may be of the view that you've been compensated. I ain't lying. I ain't lying. Absolutely. You see, your soul ain't for sale. Doesn't matter what house they put you in, where you live, what class you fly. Souls ain't for sale. And when we start to lie to ourselves, there's a part of us that knows we're lying to ourselves. Do you know how hard it is to lie to yourself? Wow. To lie to yourself is a very hard deal, you know. And this is why this develops a whole raft of mental health challenges. Denial. Denial is not good for the soul. I would rather be 100% honest with myself. Just you don't have to speak it out to everybody. And I find the people who have the capacity to be brutally truthful with themselves do the best in therapy. They do well in therapy. Yeah, Key, I did have an intention. Remember, us empaths, we can naively go around feeling like we just love light and fruit of the loom. But often there's an intention behind our giving. There's an ambition, there's a need that we want fulfilled. A void we want fulfilled. I don't know about anybody else's void here, but when we got mummy and daddy voids, when we go into intimate relationship, that void shows up. Sometimes that creates a dependency on the validation. We want the thumbs up. We just want to be adored by somebody. And we go above and beyond in the hope that that trade will mean that we will become irreplaceable to them. This is why we are so bamboozled when they dishonor us. My question to you is, did you dishonor yourself? Did I dishonor myself unintentionally, unconsciously, by giving this human being such supreme power and energy over me? If you know what I'm talking about, give me a heart, give me a like, give me something out there. Did I dishonor myself? Did I lie to myself? When I saw the nonsense behavior, did I justify it because I was scared of being alone? Being scared of being alone is real. And sometimes we have made a trade. We would rather put up with the nonsense, with the foolishness, than to be with self. What is so abhorrent about you that being with yourself is so difficult, that you're prepared to tolerate being undermined and disrespected? This is why they say self-love. I'll always tell you, self-love ain't eyebrows and nails and getting your toes done. Self-love is audacious and self-love is difficult. Self-love can be unapologetic at times. Sometimes we have to be our own best friend. We have to protect ourselves from ourselves. We have to fight temptation. And you have to catch yourself out when you engage in behaviors that you know is not great for you. And we are crafty and we are cunning and we lie to ourselves. But there is a part of you that always knows you do it to yourself. Hey lady, how are you doing? There's always a reason and always a lesson in our difficult relationships. The key is to understand, what is this relationship teaching me? Many of us are giving our power away to an individual. We have given a human being incredible power to validate us. Humans change their mind. What happens when they change their mind? You lose your mind, no? Is that not a lot of power to give away? And this is why doing things differently. Oh, Queen, I'm glad to hear you're enjoying the course. Empaths and narcissists, a toxic mix. Remember, opposites attract. And sometimes, we have to also be mindful of our fear of success, our fear of growth. Anybody have that? That actually, if I change, when I change, I might be abandoned. People might think, who does she think she is? If you know what I'm talking about. Amen, sister. Good to hear that it's helping you. And well done to you for bravely taking the step and investing in you. Understanding that, look, as I say to people, researching narcissism has its place. I've been there, I've done it, I've read the books, and I was like, oh my gosh. But one of the things I did was I was working at IKEA checkouts, and I thought, well, you know what? This could give me a career. Amen. God bless you, sister. God bless you. Yeah. This was definitely a part of this is how the secret to life is, that you make pain purposeful. Adversity is going to come. Adversity comes to all of us. It's just a part of life. How you respond to adversity is the game changer. How will you respond to adverse situations when they present themselves to you? And sometimes we know in our soul things need to change. The biggest person who can sabotage my growth and my potential is me. I don't have to worry about enemies. The enemy is within. There are many ways we sabotage ourselves. Constantly focusing on others and their behaviors, researching narcissism is a way that we can end up sabotaging ourselves. And the reason I say it is because we can spend years researching. And my research supports that. We can spend years trying to understand somebody else. Why do we do this to ourselves? What is it about understanding ourselves that is so difficult? Many of us are stuck in comfort zones that are very discomfortable. Yes, I said the word discomfortable, and it's a new word, but I just made it up, okay? Discomfortable. I tell my clients all the time, I make up my own words. Many of us are in very discomfortable situations, but we're stubborn. And we want life on our terms. And life is showing you this is not working on your terms, but you're not having it. You're determined for it to go the way you want it to. 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, you're still hanging in there, wondering why your life is lackluster. What responsibility do we have to take? What do we need to surrender? You know what? Sometimes, you know what? As I really have embedded this in understanding into my life, surrender is very difficult. It's an ego issue. When we surrender, my ego, the ego of Keeley Taverner, wants life on her terms. In my head, this was the one. I don't want another one. And life is life in me, and I don't like it. So I want life on my terms, and life is teaching me it's not about your terms, Miss Taverner. And so what I realize in my self-sabotage is I'm holding on to what is not working for me. Many of us have to ask ourselves, are you holding on? Ask yourself, are you holding on to what is not working for you? Notice what bubbles up within. Your truth will speak to you. Truth has a beautiful way of speaking to us. If we allow it into the consciousness, truth knows. What is my fear if I let go? What do I fear if I let go? What do I fear if I let go? What do I fear if I let go? What is my worst fear if I let go? This is the part of yourself you need to understand. You need to understand your fears, because it's those fears that keep you in bondage to situations that your spirit knows is not working for you, my people. In your soul, in your spirit, in your knower, you know it ain't working for you. But your ego is keeping you trapped. And the more you let your ego dictate, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years are going past, and you're still in the same situation. I'm not lying if you know what I'm talking about. Give me a heart, give me a light. Let me know I'm not alone out here. Because I can wax lyrical. If you've got a question, feel free to ask your girl Key. Because I could just wax lyrical about the human condition all day, every day. I've dedicated my life to the journey. Human potential. There is great potential within us. But many of us, please ask a question, Button Bell. Many of us can often get trapped in the potential of others. We see potential in them, and we believe it's our duty to help them manifest. And then when they do or they don't, you've taken it and made it your lifelong mission to fulfill someone else's. But all the time, what about you? If I think I'm being emotionally abused, is it likely to be true? He didn't used to be like this. Go to my profile, take the test, my queen. Button Bell, go and take the test. Have a little look. If you starting to Google certain behaviors in order to understand Wagwan, remember, people change. And sadly, people change, you know. But if you're starting to Google, but go to my profile, take that little test there, and just have a little ponderation about what's going on there, you know. But if you're talking about emotional abuse, you might be looking at, you know, gaslight. And remember, sometimes this stuff takes time, you know, and sometimes certain situations bring out different aspects of people, and you see certain behaviors and you think, oh, I've met this side of that person before. So I think, Button Bell, remain curious. I think absolutely, man. Thank you, Rosemary. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? I remember a bullet I dodged once. It really started small. It started with, I prefer you in studs. I don't like you in hoop earrings. And you know, and you're like, oh, okay. And one day I noticed I stopped wearing my hoop earrings. It was just all studs. All studs. And then I just thought, hold on. Very subtle. Very subtle. Very subtle. It's a drip, 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 drip. Remember, they can't, listen, people can't always come with the nonsense straight out the back, you know. They have to warm you up to it slow and steady. Remember, a lot of times we're being tested slow and steady. and it escalates. He's stressed and shouts a lot. It triggers me. Okay. Well, I think it's important when that person is not stressed to begin to have an articulate conversation, or think about writing what's going on for you, your reactions, how it makes you feel. And as you endeavor to have that conversation, you know, pay good attention to your nervous system, because it sounds like it could become potentially problematic. It's so hard to act on your intuition. Well, firstly, maybe, if you've been brought up in a way where you don't trust your intuition, what I would say firstly is befriend your intuition. You want to just notice and start to listen to what it says to you. Listen, I didn't get to just starting to listen to my intuition. I remember many years ago, I was in a relationship. We purchased a house together. And I remember walking in the house and intuition said, you're going to leave this house one day. You're not supposed to be with this one. I was just getting the front room done and doing color coding, color coordinations for my living room. That was a very inconvenient truth. I didn't want to listen to that part of myself. You understand? And I never did. I stayed in it for a number of years. But when it came crashing down, I always knew. I always knew, my sister. So it's okay. Don't feel like you have to act on it. For now, we just want you to build a relationship with that part of you, if that makes sense. Just start to acknowledge it firstly. We just want you to acknowledge it. That's all. I block my narcissistic husband and pray I don't unblock again. Feel free, go to my profile, Rosemary. Take that test. If you are looking at your relationship with, well, Rosemary, it's early doors, sister. It's early doors, and obviously I don't know about your situation, but if you have found yourself researching narcissism, feel free, go to the profile, take the test. If you are researching narcissism and want to understand a little bit more about where you are at on your journey of understanding growth and transformation, because remember, lots of people understand that they might be in a toxic relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean they do anything about it, or that they are ready or in situations where they are able to do so. And it's absolutely okay. I truly understand it. It's complex. It's a complex situation. However, there is some value in understanding where you're at. Some people have become research dependent, but researching doesn't mean healing. Researching, understanding the terms, waxing lyrical about all things narcissism does not mean you are healing. It means you are researching and you know the terms, but how that applies to your life, how you look after yourself. You see, narcissism is narcissism. The process of learning to honor yourself when you've been in an abusive relationship is lifelong. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not here to tell you inconvenient truths. It's a lifelong process. And you will, especially if you've come from a family background where you weren't valued, you didn't feel appreciated, you're invisible, that this will manifest and show itself again and again. And so as we journey in the adult life, taking more and more responsibility for ourselves, you're going to see the many ways that you undersell yourself, sell yourself short. You're going to do to yourself what others did to you. So the journey of growth and transformation is a lifelong one, my dear empaths, of giving back to the self and honoring the self. And it's a wonderful way to live life. It's a very curious way to live life to my mind. But, I might be slightly biased. Thank you for all the roses. I appreciate that. Tired of researching. It is what it is. Well, it depends where you're at on the journey. My sister, because many people derive pleasure from researching other people's behavior rather than truly beginning to understand themselves. There's a reason why we end up in these types of relationships, and it's understanding that process. Why? As someone who's been there, I know that my empathy was a massive contributor in terms of being in a toxic relationship, as well as my attachment patterns, how I was raised, how I was loved and not felt loved during my formative years. So it's a complex dynamic. Understanding yourself, how you can exercise kindness. Remember, for some of us, fear is worse in our heads than it is in reality. And I don't know anybody's situation here, but I know for myself, I own that for myself. Some of the things I fear, it's worse in here than it is in reality. My head can catastrophize. It can go to worst case scenarios in the head. This is one of the reasons why self-love is about application. How can I remove myself from situations that harm me? You see, for many of us, we won't remove ourselves, step back from people we know aren't good for us, Because remember, if you're dealing with narcissistic people, there might also be some other narcissistic, unhealthy person in the mix as well, the mother, the sister, the cousin. Some of us are still friends chatting up with other people, and we know it's all a part of the toxic mix. Sometimes we got to get unapologetic, certain people for delete, and it's not even their fault. It's collateral damage, and sometimes in order to protect ourselves and our niceness, it's got to be done. You see, some of you are going on WhatsApp and looking at people's statuses and pre and things, and it's not good for you, and then you wonder why you're still stuck in the mix. Give thanks for the love. Yeah, not great for your greatness. I'm getting loads of love here, right? You have to work out how you sabotage yourself. Sometimes you need to block out people, unfollow, mute them, go through your device. This is self-protection, SOS. We're not come to play, because everything is energy. And if you are giving them energy, it means that you don't have energy for creation, manifestation of what it is that you truly want for your life. I can't continuously allow my curiosities to get the best of me. I'd be swiping and scrolling, having alternative Instagram accounts to prey on people. Not great for my greatness. Only I can stop myself from doing that to myself. Otherwise, I will be a perpetual victim. And no one is doing it. We're doing it to ourselves. And for wherever you're at on the journey, sometimes we just got to start really small. Really small. Yeah, man, Belzy, we got to do it for ourselves. I've blocked hundreds. Well done to you, Fatty Tiffany. Well done to you, man. Yeah, unapologetic. My friend used to say to me, and it used to make me feel really inadequate. She's like, oh, Keeley, you're so childish. You're so childish. And it made me feel inadequate. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Yeah, it's all right for her. I'm not built like her. I'm a sensitive soul. I block to protect myself from myself. Good evening, Isaiah, jazz singer. To protect myself from myself. Therefore, I don't have to look if they've looked at my story or hearted me, and then the heartedness, I'm starting to think, oh, that might mean that they like me or they want to talk. Like, I don't do that to myself. So that's unapologetic self-care. And as I said in one of my videos last week, us empaths, we're not great at burning bridges, We're not great at burning bridges. And trust me, if you ain't burned a bridge, they'll come and test the bridge. They put one foot on the crickety bridge to see if it's still standing up there. And then we devour them with our kindness, because we think it's morally upright for us to always display kindness. Some people, you need to slap the door and let it hit them on the behind. Let it hit you where the good Lord split you. Memory serves me well. I used to think that in a DV relationship, I got me and my team. I hear you, my sister. Yeah. Some of these relationships is just pure drama. But you know what I realized? When I had a drama-filled relationship, you know what one of the biggest challenges was? When I was in a drama-filled relationship. When I used to turn on my phone and there was no drama. Yeah, is it even working? There was no 35 missed calls, no voice notes, no foolishness on the phone, no abuse. It was just silence. And that was difficult. Sounds bizarre, but I know I'm not alone, right? What's personal is often universal. I found the calmness very unsettling. And I felt like life became boring. And if you know what I'm talking about and you're brave enough to do vulnerability, give me a heart, give me a like. It does feel odd, but glad I'm far from it. Absolutely. It's all a part of the journey. Currently go through it. Amen. Trust it, sister. But you know, one of the things, and this is what I talk about on Navigate Narcissism now, this is the program that I have, is the value of actually replacing, putting something else in place, which is why I went back to college. I did an access course. Yeah, I did an access course. So now I'm thinking my life is boring, right? Because there's no mayhem, no drama on the device. But I also had the wisdom, thank God, to think, well, what can I fill it with? Because clearly I've got an issue if calmness is unsettling me. The issue is me. I'm not used to this. So I have to grow accustomed to this. But if my life feels so boring, well, maybe I need to do something with my life, which is where it created space to think about what would I want to become? What might be a dream or an aspiration I have? What intrigues me? I left school with no qualifications. Some advice, which was don't come back. Well, I thought, well, this intrigues me. I like this topic, which took me to psychology, which took me to an access talks, which took me to college of an evening. After I did that for 2 years, after college, went to university, right? And then began to just continue to just follow the curiosity, follow the clues. Spiritually, God will give you clues. If you know what I'm talking about, give me a heart, give me a life. God will give you clues and signs will show up in your life. Your duty is to follow the clues and have faith. Have faith. You have to dig deep when you have faith. Because sometimes your eyes is looking and you're like, God, really? Really? Why am I here? Is this really it? You sit there by yourself. Some of your friends think you're too good, that you've changed too much. They want the old self back. And you have the audacity to want better for yourself and you're trying to make a way out of no way. That's the spiritual path, my people. Hey, life goal achieved. We give thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah? Having faith from this is in your heart. Then life is not, it shifts because you've replaced that. You've replaced that. And you'll begin to notice. I remember my daughter's once, dad said to me when I started uni, he said, you think you're better than people because you started to read your fancy books. You're Jamaican, yeah? Do you read your fancy book? No, you think you're better than people. Cost me. And I was like, oh my God, does he think that? Does he really think that? There's me trying to change his mind. Listen, I told my mentor, this is why I'm so glad for mentors. Because when you're kind of green and you don't know nothing about nothing. And she said, Miss Taverner, that's his stuff. That's not yours. He feels inadequate and he's projecting onto you. And that was such a game changer for me, having other people to be able to talk to on the journey of growth, transformation, and change. Yeah? They project onto you. They don't want you to change. They want you to stay the same because the old self worked for them. And when you shift and you start to do things differently, my people, don't expect there to be a whole bag of cheerleaders behind you, Listen, this is why I tell my people all the time on NNN, you better start to embrace stranger danger. Some of us are waiting for our mothers, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins to applaud us. And all the time they're standing there waiting for us to fail, thinking, who does she think she is? You better believe it. Stranger danger. Random person you don't even know. Say, I see you working on yourself. I see the things that you're doing. Give thanks for stranger danger. We're adults now. We could do stranger danger. You understand? But some of us, we're waiting for folks to see the efforts that we're making and they will never see it. They never believed in us. We were the underdog from morning. The odds were stacked against us. But you have to let them know this ain't about me. This is spiritual. This is purposeful living. We walk by faith, not by sight. We have the audacity to want more for ourselves. The audacity to break trauma. The audacity to break these patterns that keep going on generationally and generation. Yes, I'm unapologetic about wanting better for myself. And some of us, we need to get to a position where we just own it. Yeah, I want better for myself. Oh, you think you're too good? You think you're too good because you read? Yeah, if that's what you think, rock on, Tommy, because you have an opinion and you're entitled to it. If you know what they don't get me out at. Dr. Jessica Taylor talks about Jessica Taylor. I've got her book here. Sexy but psycho. I love her. You know, just today I was sitting with a soul and I had to say, there's nothing wrong with you. Your nervous system is working as God designed it. They are implanting this notion that there's something wrong with us. We have a sophisticated nervous system. It's been traumatized and there's dysregulation, and that's my ambition, to help a soul who has me as a companion on their journey to understand. You're nervous, there's nothing wrong with you, you've got no damaged brain. It works perfectly, perfectly based on the situations that you have been exposed to. Yeah, beautiful book. And what I love about her is she's also working class. There's not many of us from a working class background in my field. Tends to be generally people who are not from a working class background, let's put it that way. And so, shall I be diplomatic? Let me be diplomatic. So it makes it rather refreshing for people when they're like, oh my God, you're normal, you know? It's really, people feel, it's a beautiful thing. We give thanks, but we know the odds are stacked against us because it's not easy nor cheap to train, and you have to navigate a middle class world that you haven't been exposed to through your life experiences. You understand? This is why it's important for us to get mentors. Stranger danger, big up to all the mentors, the doctors at my university who believed in me. Many torchbearers for me believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. They carried me when I wanted to give up. Writing a dissertation, who uses the word moreover? Really, who uses that word in everyday language? But by God's grace, people proofread my stuff. They put commas and full stops where I didn't even know commas and full stops belonged. If you know what I'm talking about, give yourself a heart and a like. Well, here she go, Key. I've just finished her memoir and she's been through so much. Absolutely. And I think what her message around trauma and, the way that females are continuously diagnosed is really important and political, and the helping professions is political, which is why so many of us end up starting up in private practice in order to be able to support people in a way that is kind of more in keeping with what our philosophy is on the human condition. But hey ho, if you have found yourself caught continuously researching them, trying to understand others, and you need to understand yourself, go to my profile, take my quiz, stop researching narcissism. We need you to overstand yourself. I'm going to use my mother's dialect here, the Rastaman vibes. Yeah? Oh, this is Dr. Jessica Taylor. Yeah? But we need to get you to understand yourself first. There's a solid good reason why you can tolerate nonsense. It's linked to self-worth. It's linked to self-belief. And we don't self-advocate. Many of us have never had anybody in our entire lives stand up for us, ever. Therefore, how can we stand up for ourselves when no one has ever made us feel worthy? Often what we are dealing with, way before a narcissist comes into our life, is a lack of worthiness. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I'm self-advocating right now. That's beautiful to hear, Odd. Let me know what that looks like to you. DJ, it's called Underclass, and it's by Dr. Jessica. All of her books are worth looking into. Yes, Belle, this is the one I've been reading of late. And this has got a very strong trauma focus. And like I said, trauma, through the lens of understanding trauma, you see the beauty. This is my bias, right? The beauty of the human organism, of what God created. Polyvagal theory. These are alternative ways to look at the human condition, rather than this deficit model. Something's wrong. No, the individual's been traumatized and their nervous system is doing exactly what God designed it to do, which is to protect it. Disassociation, these are all important aspects of what the sophistication of the human organism will do when it is under incredible stress. It is absolutely mind-blowing to see the wisdom of the organisms. Listen, I feel like I'm getting a bit too academic, but it is what it is, right? And many of us empaths have been traumatized. Yeah, many of us have got complex trauma. All we've done all our life, which has enabled us to help and survive, has been help others. It was what enabled us to be kept to some degree safe. And I had so much self-worth running 2 businesses on my own, and then married the narcissist for 13 years. What do you think about I love parts. Internal family system. I was using parts today. Parts is so important because EMDR is not for everybody. Eye movement desensitization reprogramming. And parts uses lovely everyday language, and it also has a spiritual element. So I'm a massive fan of parts. And I love normal language. People don't need to be hearing long theories and so on and so forth. But when I hear somebody say, oh, there's a part of me that thinks that, then I can hone in. Which part of you is that? Parts, it's better to experience parts than to sort of theoretically understanding it is one thing, but experiencing is a totally different thing. I'm too sweet for men. I attract players. Well, there's a reason you attract players. That may mean you don't like the guys that aren't players. Let's not make it look like the players just come running to you. There's something that you're doing that attract the players. I used to love a bad boy. It's two-way. It's two-way. There's something they do and there's something that I do. If I have a gaze for them, then there's something that's being co-created. And if you understand like the human experience from co-creation, there's something we're co-creating together. If they look at me, then I'm looking at them. Then there's something that we're co-creating through the stare. That is, I am sending the signal that I am open to communication, and they are sending the signal. And so that signal, when that signal fires, this is how connections are made. You understand? Yes, man, we're wordsmith. We are wordsmith. I've got bars all day long. I probably should go back to stand-up comedy because that was what I was going to do before. Well, it kind of happened at the same time as being a therapist. Yeah, we co-create it. This is when you understand co-creation, you know, it's not, oh, I just attract narcissists. No, I'm drawn to their confidence, their swagger, their bravado. I know that. So now, if I'm drawn to swagger, confidence, and bravado, I just sit myself down and sit quiet and just observe and look. I don't move a muscle. I don't sustain eye contact. I don't. Not great for me greatness. You understand? I'm not co-creating the connection because I've done sufficient work on myself to know my type. I know that my type ain't my type and my type ain't good for me. If you know what I'm talking about, some of us need to understand your type ain't working for you. Hail the nerds. Hail the boring dudes. Players love you. No, you love a player because some of us thought we could turn them. We thought we could turn them. We thought we could turn them. Yes, you did. You thought you could turn them. You thought if you did enough, tried enough, went above and beyond enough, shaved enough, hoisted it up enough, flattened it enough, buffeted it out enough, somehow you could work a miracle. That's your ego. I ain't lying. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And they proved to you You can hoist it up, flat it out, buff it up, cook it up, season it up, fry it up, cook it down. That no matter what you did, you couldn't turn a bad man good. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't turn a bad man good. We ain't Riri out here. Yeah? We just John Legend, ordinary people. I realize I don't have a type. More work to do. Deeper we go. Well, never change for a man except what you get. Yes, but Anna, some of us want some pressuration in 2025. You understand? We've got a biological system going on down there, and the nights can get cold and lonely, and you might need a hug. You understand? So sometimes we might know we shouldn't. We should. We block. We unblock. We say, hey, you, how you doing? Want to meet for a coffee? You forgot your socks at my house. Do you want to collect them? Like, stuff happens. Life happens. We have to be real about it. I ain't lying. We know better. But the lady flower takes over. Am I lying, Belsi? Belsi, sometimes we have the thinking head, the cognitive head, the rational head. However, some days, the other parts of us, IFS, takes over. And the next thing you know, he's knocking at the door. I love how real you. We got to keep it real. We can't be doing fake. You understand? It's not helpful. We just keep it real. Tired of all that foolishness. Good for you. But the lower part talk. You see what I'm talking about, Belsi? It depends. You know what I'm saying? Some days she wins. Some days the lady flower, and then we can't complain. They say, Key, they say, oh, Key, he came back. I said, lady, what happened? You never just came back. You're unblocked. You were lonely. It was cold. Or maybe you had a little Jackie Coke. And it weren't you. It was the Jackie Coke that did it. Let's not do self-responsibility tonight. We will call it the Jackie Coke effect. You see what I'm saying? Trust the process. I'm surrounded with narcissistic husband and in-law family. I'm in heal process, still studying ARC. Saf, I would say to you, go to my profile. Take my quiz. If you're researching narcissism, it's the quiz that people need to take. Rosemary, I can see you are very well entertained. I ain't lying. We just keeping it ultra real around here. You entertain, they'll come back. Well, it depends. It depends. Sometimes it's lonely, innit? We don't want the cobwebs, ladies. You don't want the cobwebs. Some of us don't want to be celibate. Some of us are doing involuntary celibacy. You're like, hold on, man. I don't want 2025 to catch me. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on. He ain't Mr. Right, he's Mr. Right now. This is personal. Jackie, you blame the Jackie Cook, it wasn't your fault. We're going to have a day off from self-responsibility. We're blaming Jackie Cook. Absolutely, playing the part. The quiz is in my bio. Absolutely. Just feel free, go to the bio, take the quiz. It will help you to understand where you're at in your process of research. We laugh, we joke, and we know it's no joke. But you know what? Life is happening to all of us. You know, life is happening to all of us. It's not easy, you know. And my hope for you is that you do have a degree of compassion for yourself. It's all good and well when we realize we do the research and we're like, oh my God, how could I have missed it? I should have known this. I should have seen the signs. It doesn't quite work like that. It doesn't quite work like that. So, you know, many of us can be really brutal to ourselves. Some of us have got no self-compassion. And when self-compassion is absent, self-condemnation will be present, and self-condemnation is what I'm often up against as a therapist. The brutality towards the self for making choices, kicking oneself. I should have known better. No, we knew what we knew when we knew what we knew. And now we know better. We can't chastise ourselves. If that's the case, we should have all bought a house in the 80s. We are grown through it and proud of how far I've come. Amen. Thank you for turning my light on. Oh, Belsi, that's a really beautiful thing to say. You know, if I've helped turn your light on, then trust me, many have helped turn the light on for me. So we salute the people who help others, who go above and beyond. You never lose. You never lose. We just want to become much more helpful, much more mindful about who we give our empathy. Never, your empathy is never a curse. It's a gift. The skill is learning to discern who is worthy of your gift and who is not. And my hope for you is that over time you learn to give that gift appropriately to the peoples who will value you. So it never feels burdensome, never feels like you're being used. You don't feel like you're a doormat. It's just a beautiful way to live. And on that note, feel free to go to my bio, take the test if you're still researching narcissism and you want to understand at a deeper level where you're at and how you might be able to move forward. My name is Keeley Taverner. I'm a psychotherapist passionate about helping my empaths take responsibility for their precious lives. And if that speaks to you and you might need some assistance, feel free, inbox me. Always happy to be of assistance, or go to keyforchange.com. Do take care of you, because if you don't, who will? And you must remember, no one is coming to save you. You must learn to save yourself. Peace. And same for you over here as well, my YouTubers. We must learn to save ourselves. No one is coming to save us. Do take care of you, because if you don't, who will?